Do you struggle with saying no? Hi, I'm Tally, and on this channel, I help people who want more in life build confidence and self-esteem through simple, no-frills ideas. In this video, we're going to be going over 5 simple steps to saying no without feeling guilty so that you can reclaim your time and energy, show up more authentically in the world, build better relationships, and increase your confidence. Saying no can be really difficult, whether it's in social or work contexts. In social situations, maybe somebody's asking you for favors that you don't feel very comfortable with, or you're being pressured to drink or do drugs or party. In work contexts, it can be really difficult to say no as well. Maybe you're getting more added to your plate when you are already really feeling overworked and overtaxed. Maybe you feel like your manager or your team isn't respecting your work-life balance or your work hours. Or maybe you're getting projects that just don't align with your long-term goals or interests. In all these situations, it really sucks if you can't say no. Because first of all, it feels like you might be wasting your time or energy because you're doing something that you're not very excited about because you weren't able to say no to it. And more importantly, it feels like you're not aligned with your goals or your values, or maybe the kind of person that you want to be, or the way that you want to be spending your time. Saying no is not something people are born doing. We are social creatures. We are wired to want to be accepted by other people and to not want to ruffle feathers because evolutionarily it made sense for us to be in these groups. But sometimes that makes us really afraid to say no. But I'm here to tell you, if you have the right framework for saying no, it is a skill that you can develop. You know, it's not something you're born with, but it's kind of like public speaking or negotiation, whereas if you have a framework and you practice it, then you get better with time, and it's a skill that you develop, and you kind of you get the muscle memory for it too. So let's dive in how to actually say no without feeling guilty. Step 1, take your time. This sounds kind of weird to have to say, but you don't always have to say yes or no right away. When somebody asks you for something, whether it's at work or in a social situation, you can ask for some time to think it through. When you're in the social situation, it can be hard to just come up with an answer on the spot, so you maybe feel a little tongue-tied or uncertain or wishy-washy. Take your time so that you can think about it in a lower pressure environment when you're away from this person, and so that you can make your decision whether it's a yes or a no. And if it's a no, so that you can think of a way that you can actually approach saying no confidently, as opposed to just saying it on the spot and then you're kind of freaking out a little bit. It can be because that's hard. It doesn't have to be a huge, big explanation about what you need to go over. Just a very short, hey, let me get back to you, or I need to check on a few things before I can commit to that. If it's something that's time sensitive, like maybe it's a project that you're being offered, or, happy hour later that day, let the person know, I'll get back to you in the next hour, or however much time. So give them a time that you'll follow up on. Also, when you take your time, be sure to give yourself some physical distance if you can from the situation. So stand up, walk to the other side of the room, or walk to another room altogether, or go outside, or whatever you need to do to get some space, to get some perspective, and think more clearly. I think that's really important, to be able to get some space to think clearly. The second reason, once you've taken your time, is to, this one's also alliteration, remember your reason. So right now, like literally right now, not in the future situation, right now, think about, why is it important for you to learn to say no? You need to decide, what is the most important reason for you to be able to say no? Maybe you find that you're people-pleasing all the time. Maybe you're spending money on activities that you just aren't enjoying because you feel peer pressure to do them, and you want to save that money for something that you actually is important to you. Or maybe you feel like your time and energy is getting sucked into things that don't really align with your values, and you want that time and energy back so that you can say yes to things that better fit you. Maybe you want to improve your relationships by being more honest with people, or show up more authentically in the world. Or maybe you just want to empower other people to also be able to say no if your peers or your family members or whoever is uncomfortable doing so, leading by example. Figure out your most important reason for learning to say no in all situations. What resonates with you the most? And take a moment, pause this video if you have to, pull out your phone and create a note, and in that note, write your reason for why it's important for you to learn to say no. And what we're gonna do the next time that you're in a situation that you kind of are like, have a bad gut feeling about this, next time you're in that kind of situation, number 1, take your time. Number 2, remember your reason. When you step away, when you give yourself a little bit of time to think about it, pull up your phone and reread your reason, the one that you wrote just now, and so that you can remember why you're doing this. And don't skip this part. The reason we're doing this is it's hard to say no. It is. Like I said, we're social creatures. We're wired to be agreeable and be liked, and we're afraid to ruffle feathers. So that's really uncomfortable. In order to get out of this comfort zone of saying yes and just kind of agreeing with everybody, you need to have a strong enough why so that you can get over that discomfort. So write down your why, put it in your phone. The next step is, it's another alliteration one, know your no. So that's K-N-O-W, your N-O. There's a few different flavors of no that I have found, at least in my experience. There's no to the time, and then there's no to the situation or a part of it. And it's important that you, when you walk away and you come and you think about, your reason for saying no, it's important to be clear on it, because it helps you communicate better. It helps you show up with more conviction and speak more confidently. It also helps you understand your own line. So you're not just showing up wishy-washy and you're, easy to sway back and forth. In a social situation, maybe your friend asks you to go to the movies, and you want to go to the movies, you love your friend, but this week is just, you have plans to go to the gym, you have all these errands you're running, maybe you don't have other plans, maybe you just need to get home and take a nap and be by yourself and be your introverted self, or just relax and read a book, and you just don't want to have plans this week for whatever reason. No judgment. You don't have to have plans already to say no to someone. By the way, you don't have to have plans already to say no to someone. You can say no to someone because you just want to rest and it's a bad time. That's okay. I am empowering you through my camera, through talking to you on this YouTube video. You don't have to have an amazing reason to say no to someone. You could just say no to someone because you need to relax and recharge. That is fine. A lot of us, when we are struggling to say no to somebody, we think that we either have to say yes or no, and it's black and white, when we forget that there's all sorts of flavors and variations in between. And one of those flavors can be, hey, this sounds great, but I can't do it right now. How about later? Or, sure, but can we find a different time? Or can we find a different date? Knowing that it's a time no is going to be helpful for you, because it'll help you communicate to your friend or your coworker or your manager that, hey, this is something I'm interested in. It's something I want to keep on the table, but the timing right now is difficult for me. And when you can communicate that, then it allows the other person to actually be able to work with you and to help you make it work. The other kind of no that we have is a situational no. You might object to the whole situation or just part of it. So it might be something that is crossing your boundaries, or it might just be something that you're not very interested in. And that's okay too, but you gotta know what specifically about the situation is you're saying no to. So this might be your aunt always asks you at the last minute, the day before or the day of, to drive her to the airport. And you love your aunt, but it's like, come on, I have things that I'm doing. I don't, be more respectful of my time. So figure out, is this something that you're just not interested in? Is this a boundary that's being crossed? Am I objecting to the entire situation or just part of it? And am I comfortable creating some sort of compromise? Okay, so what have we done? We have taken our time. We've remembered our reason, pulled up our phone. We know our no. Guess what? The next one is alliteration as well. It's communicate clearly. Woohoo! On that alliteration roll. Okay, so clear communication when it comes to saying no looks like 3 things. It looks like brevity, so keeping it short. It looks like honesty, and it looks like communicating a confident tone. Number 1, brevity. When people who are not comfortable saying no say no, they often over-explain. They are so worried about being perceived as not a team player, or about ruining the relationship, or about maintaining the relationship, that they over-explain and they go on and on and on about different reasons and give too much detail, because they're trying to show like, hey, this matters to me. There is a very good reason for me to say no. But it kind of backfires because it makes you seem less confident, because you have to over-explain yourself. So to communicate clearly, the best thing you can do is, if you're going to share a reason, which you don't have to, but it's nice to, and I think most situations it's appropriate to share a reason why you're saying no, keep it short. Don't over-explain. Second part of communicating clearly is be honest. As much as you can, help the other person help you. If you can give an honest reason, then if that person might be able to accommodate you or meet you halfway. Don't be brutally honest. If you don't want to go on a date with someone because you find them repulsive, don't go, hey, I don't want to go on a date with you because I find you repulsive. You can be more general. You don't have to be super specific if you just want to give someone like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not interested, or I'm unavailable. You don't have to go into crazy details if it's not appropriate for the situation. And the third part of communicating clearly is your tone. Put a period at the end of your sentences. Keep it short. Remember to not be wishy-washy. Don't come across as, you're not really sure, because that person might interpret it as they're not sure, maybe they need some convincing. And if you're somebody who doesn't need convincing, like if you're pretty set on your answer, then just say no. And keep it brief. Okay. So we have taken our time, we've remembered our reason, we know our no, we've communicated clearly, and I'm gonna break our perfect alliteration game and say, end on a positive. And if somebody has a suggestion for how I could have made that, how I could have worked alliteration into that, please comment it in the comments below, because I'm a little embarrassed, but that's okay. End on a positive. Really important, especially if you're somebody who's a people pleaser, to try to preserve the relationship and do so confidently. So let the person know that you appreciate them offering or thinking of you, or that you appreciate the relationship, or you do want to, you want to help them in the future. This is where it's important to communicate that the fact that you have boundaries does not mean that this person isn't important to you. That's kind of the point of ending on a positive. So that can look like, hey, this means, but thank you, this means a lot to me, or I really appreciate you thinking of me, or I hope we can work together next time. Or if it's your friend asking you to the movies, you say, I can't this week, but I love this idea, and I'm so glad that you reached out because I would really like to do this. End on a positive, and that also helps you come across more confidently, and it also reassures you that saying no is not this incredibly selfish thing. You can still have good relationships with people even if you know how to say, especially when you know how to say no. If you have an alternative, this is a great time to throw it in. I can't make the movies this week. I'm so glad you asked because I've been wanting to see this movie and I've been wanting to spend more time with you. How about Thursday of next week? That's when you can throw in an alternative. But of course, if you're not comfortable with the whole situation, you don't have to offer an alternative at all. It depends. I can't speak for all situations right now, but I'm kind of giving you the framework so that you can work within it. Okay, let's go over what we covered. One more time. We have our take your time, remember your reason, know your no, communicate clearly, and end on a positive, which is not alliteration, but that's okay. We got 4 out of 5. That's still pretty good. I want to know from you, what situation do you find yourself most uncomfortable saying no in? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll do my best to address it. And if you like this video, if you're still here, please hit that like button. That will really help my channel. Speaking of my channel, if you like personal development content, stuff about self-esteem and confidence, please hit subscribe for more videos like this. And remember, saying no isn't selfish. It allows you to reclaim your time and energy so you can show up more authentically in the world. You got this.